taking the time to come. And tonight's town hall will primarily be about the budget for the upcoming fiscal year. And without further ado, so we don't keep you here all night, we will turn it over to Deputy City Manager Loretta Getchell, and she will start us off.
Okay, well, let's see. We want to get started tonight by taking a few minutes to give you an update on our city's financial conditions and to discuss the opportunities and the challenges that we're going to be facing as we go into our next budget year. As we reported to you at last year's town hall meeting, the city has continued to see positive growth in our sales tax and in our property values. This has been critical to our efforts to restore some of the funding that we lost during the economic downturn. The housing sector is very important. No. Can y'all hear me in the back? No? You can't? Okay. I usually talk loud, so. Is that better? Okay. Sorry. Did y'all hear anything I said on the back earlier? Okay. So, the housing sector is very important to Euless, and it has been showing strong signs of recovery, both in the home sale prices and in the number of days that houses are staying on the market. This positive trend has been reflected in the preliminary valuations from Tarrant Appraisal District, and although our taxable home values are generally increasing, they continue to be below the market value as reflected in current real estate sales. We have reviewed several homes that are on the market today, and it indicated that the sales prices are generally at least 10 to 20% above the taxable value still. Our primary budget goals for this year will be to continue all of the current service levels, to maintain appropriate staffing levels, and to sustain our strong financial position by preserving our reserve levels in accordance with the city's fiscal policies. The sales tax and property tax are the two primary sources of revenue that provide general government operations. These two sources provide about 60% of the total general fund revenue. Other significant revenue sources are car rental tax, fines and fees, and license and permits. Beginning in 2008, our sales tax collections began to drop, and you can see from this graph that we experienced a significant decline in sales tax revenue in 2009 and 2010, and we began to see a recovery in 2011. During the current year, our sales tax revenue is exceeding the prior year by about 6.9%, and we expect to continue to see growth in 2015, mostly due to our new businesses. On the property tax side, we have been fortunate to see a great deal of development in Euless over the last several years. We have been seeing steady increases in the property tax values until 2010 and 2011, when we had declines in our overall taxable values. In fiscal year 13, we saw values restored to slightly above the 2009 level. A modest increase in values is anticipated in 2015, mainly due to new developments, and that is including the Glade Parks area. But we won't receive our final numbers from Tarrant Appraisal District until July the 25th. The city has reduced its tax rate from 61.6 cents back in 1995 to our current rate of 47 cents, and that's among the lowest in the Metroplex. The City Council has either held or lowered the property tax rate for the past 19 years. Based on initial budget analysis, staff does not expect to recommend any change in the tax rate this year. Remember, though, that due to requirements of state law, you will likely see us publish a notice in the newspaper that will say we are raising taxes. We had to do that last year. As we have explained in the past, if we receive even $1 more in revenue from restored values, that publication is required. But of course, if your home value remains the same, you would pay no more taxes than you paid in the prior year. The third most significant revenue source for Euless is the car rental tax. This revenue is generated from a 5% tax that is imposed on the short-term rental of motor vehicles. The majority of this revenue comes from the consolidated car rental facility at DFW Airport. As with sales tax, we saw significant declines in car rental receipts during 2009 and 2010, but again, as with the sales tax, we saw a significant improvement during the past 4 years. Car rental collections are exceeding current year budget by 4% year to date. And we don't necessarily expect to see a lot of growth in 2015, but we do think that will remain stable. Fines and fees make up about 14% of our total general fund revenue and can vary based on municipal court case volume and collections. In the current year, we're running above budget, and we expect next year to remain fairly level. As of today, our staffing levels are still down 17 full-time positions. Funding for these positions was cut during the downturn and has not yet been restored. Euless has one of the lowest number of employees per capita of any of the surrounding cities. As you can see from this slide, we have 1 employee for every 141 citizens, which is significantly lower than some of our neighboring cities. You can see that Grapevine has 1 employee for every 75 citizens, and Hurst has 1 employee for every 93 citizens. Another challenge that we face is funding and modest compensation package for our employees. It will be our goal this year to provide some level of pay increase so that Water and Wastewater Fund, we have not yet received our 2015 rates from Trinity River Authority, who is our wholesale water and wastewater treatment provider. However, in the previous year, they predicted an increase in water rates of 5% and an increase of 15% in wastewater rates. It is still very early in their budget process, so these projections still may change. Based on this and a general increase in operating costs, we do expect that some rate adjustment will be necessary. However, we will continue to recommend that the rate stabilization fund be used to help offset any of the recommended increase. We also want to give you a quick update on capital projects that are currently underway. Cullum Drive is under construction now from State Highway 10 to East Hewitt Lane, and it is expected to be completed by September. This improvement will upgrade that portion of the roadway to a concrete road surface, and it will include sidewalks, curb and gutters, and underground drainage. Asphalt overlays have also been completed on Ector Drive, Trojan Trail, and along Midway Drive from Ector to North Main Street. In September, street overlay work will begin in the Sage Point subdivision. We expect that work will be completed within approximately 1 month. At Glade Parks, this is located west of State Highway 121 between Cheeksburger and Glade Road. Rio Grande Boulevard is currently under construction. It is being extended from where its current terminus was, kind of behind the Roses Cafe, to Cheeksburger Road. And that area is reflected in the green that you can see there, that's marked Rio Grande Boulevard. That is the portion that is under construction. We expect that construction will be completed in August. The other area that is shaded in green is Brazos Boulevard, and we expect that will go under construction within the next 60 days. This project also includes construction of additional entry points from the State Highway 121 service road. It also includes a bridge over Little Bear Creek and a traffic signal at Cheeksburger Road. The picture in the right-hand corner was taken from the Walmart Drive access at Cheeksburger Road. This will be a signalized intersection, and it will align with that existing drive access to Walmart. This is going to provide direct access from Cheeksburger Road all the way to Glade Road through that Glade Park development. And then our city manager will give an update on that overall development at the end of my presentation. Work is also underway on several sidewalk and curb ramps throughout the city, and this is required by the Americans with Disabilities Act. This will be a multi-year effort and is being funded primarily with funds from the Community Development Block Grant. Our wastewater capital projects included the replacement of a wastewater line along Ross Avenue, West Hewitt, and East Hewitt. This project is now complete, and the lines that were replaced were about 40+ years old. Engineering design work is also underway for the replacement of wastewater mains along Denton and Iron. If you have traveled along the Bear Creek Parkway, you've probably seen some work on our reclaimed water line. That reclaimed water line is being extended from Midway Drive to south of Ash Lane. We are expecting to be delivering reclaimed water to many of the apartment complexes and commercial development that is along that route by summer, and that will provide relief to our potable water system. The existing reclaimed water system currently represents 6% of our total water consumption. The drought contingency plan goal for stage 1 water use reduction is 5%, so you can see how the reclaimed water system has helped us to meet and already exceed that goal. With the completion of this current expansion, the reclaimed water usage will represent about 8% of the system. This project is a multi-year project that will ultimately expand the reclaimed water system along Bear Creek all the way to Mid-Cities Boulevard, and that will ultimately account for about 12 to 15% of our total water usage. At the next council meeting, City Council will be asked to consider awarding a bid for the replacement of a water line along El Camino Real between West Pipeline Road and the city limits near State Highway 10. This is part of the city's commitment to provide funding on an annual basis to replace our aging water and wastewater infrastructure. The city's water meters are also reaching the end of life, and we have made application to the Texas Water Development Board for low-interest financing to pay for new meters. We expect to receive a response to our application by early fall. If approved, this project would likely begin near the end of this year or early next year. The Texas Star Golf Course will also be closing beginning on Monday for greens renovation. The greens are approaching end of life and will be replaced with an ultra-dwarf mini Bermuda grass. While the course is closed, other improvements will also be made, including bunker renovations and water feature improvements. The Ravens Grill and Conference Center will remain open during the summer, and the course will reopen to the public on October the 1st. This project is being paid from cash reserves in our golf course capital fund. A grant application has also been submitted for a trail connection from the Creekwood Estates single-family home development at Mid-Cities and State Highway 121 Service Road. The trail would extend under the State Highway 121 bridges to the Glade Park development and then continue through the development to connect to the Colleyville Trail system, which will ultimately allow connection to the Cotton Belt Trail system, which would provide trail access all the way to the Trinity Trails in downtown Fort Worth. We hope to hear the outcome of this grant application by fall. Looking into 2015, we expect the capital projects plan to include continuation of the street overlay program and the ADA sidewalk and ramp improvement program. We also plan to continue funding our annual water and wastewater line replacement program, and we also expect to be required to relocate our utilities along State Highway 183 that will be displaced as a part of the continued State Highway 183 expansion. TxDOT has announced the selection of Southgate Mobility Partners as the developer for the remaining airport freeway expansion, and that will extend from State Highway 121 to I-35E. This project will include the rehabilitation of the existing roadway and adding one managed lane, toll lane in each direction. The construction is expected to begin at the end of this year with improvements completed by 2018. The city cash flows as many of the capital projects as financially feasible. This has allowed Euless to maintain one of the lowest debt rates of all of our surrounding communities. We utilize cash reserves whenever feasible to fund capital projects. However, there are times when debt is necessary and justified given the useful life and the benefit of the project. During 2015, as we mentioned, we do expect to seek financing for the water meter replacement project from the Texas Water Development Board. Additionally, as the developer of the Glade Parks reaches certain development milestones, they will be eligible for reimbursement for some of the public infrastructure improvements that will be funded by debt that is repaid from proceeds of an existing tax increment financing zone and public improvement district that was created for that particular area. We do not expect any other debt issuance at this time for the upcoming year. We'll have additional budget work sessions throughout the summer, and the city manager will present his proposed budget to the city council for consideration on August the 1st. A schedule of these meetings is posted on our website with the public hearing on the budget scheduled for August the 26th. The budget that will be presented will be a balanced budget. By that I mean that our revenues will cover operating expenses. As I mentioned earlier, the city does utilize cash reserves whenever possible to fund capital and one-time projects. Therefore, when the capital items are added to the operating expenses, total expenses may exceed current year revenues, but funding for the capital items will be from other financing sources or existing excess funds that have been accumulated in prior years, basically our savings. The proposed operating budget that will be submitted by the city manager for consideration will be a balanced budget. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to our city manager, Gary McCamey, and let him go ahead and make some comments on the developments that we currently have underway, and then take any other questions or comments that you might have.
And I'm going to step in for half a second and do something I should have done at the beginning of the meeting. We welcome 2 new council members to our council this time, and Mr. Eddie Price could not be here this evening, but we welcome and proudly have Mr. Jeremy Tompkins on our council now. Most of the rest of us are familiar faces, but in case you don't know us, we have Councilmember Tim Stiniford, Mayor Pro Tem Linda Eilenfeld, Councilmember Perry Bynum, and Councilmember Glenn Porterfield. So now, thank you.
All right, before I start, and I may embarrass this guy, but I just found out something. We have a dignitary in our midst tonight.
Yes, we do.
And Charles Sincromani is right down here on the front row. Charles lived in Euless for a long, long time. And he has worked for the DFW Airport and Public Safety for 34 years. And Charles was just appointed police chief at the DFW Airport. And that is a big, big organization. Paying attention to what Loretta said about the rental car facility, you know that not only is DFW Airport important to us for jobs and transportation and everything else, but they are a big contributor to our budget. So anyway, the purpose of tonight's meeting is to talk about our budget, and you've heard the presentation. Our effort is to spend the summer while we're preparing the budget. We seek input from our city council, and we've started in the last several years these summertime town hall meetings to focus on budget, to get input from our residents on what's important to you. If our service levels aren't where they need to be, or if you want us to focus on something, as to say you want a park focused on, then it's time for us to look at that. So before we go on to the development presentation, which will be very, very short, I'll actually stop right here and ask if anyone has any comments or questions about our budgeting. Anything related to budgeting. We'll get in a little bit to any questions you may have on anything. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Michelle Sire. I live on 1720 Redfoot Lane, and I have a question about the 50 cents that is in the water bill, that you electric amount, and where does that fall in the budget that you just reviewed?
It is accounted for in our general fund budget, and it is designated for the items that come from that, and that is primarily to provide for our 1+1 tree program that is at Arbor Days. It also supports programs at the library, honorariums to bring in speakers at the library. You'll see several of those programs throughout the year.
Great, thank you. And I have a second question, if you don't mind. You talked about staff levels being lower than our surrounding communities, and I was wondering if you could speak, if you'll speak, are you going to speak to whether or not you're going to bring those staff levels up, or what is the impact to our community by not having some of those staff on payroll?
Well, let me address that. That's most of our staffing cuts that were made in areas that most of y'all would never see. We didn't cut police officers, we didn't cut firefighters. It was primarily clerical and some management. There was an assistant library director that was that position was eliminated. So, and I'm absolutely not saying they're not necessary, but they're not. There was no cuts to the police department. Honestly, we were probably a little slower to fill vacancies as they occurred, but for the most part, there was no cuts. As we move forward, there's not really an effort this year, for example. She said there were 17 positions down. There is not an effort to totally restore those, because that is I don't have a number in front of me, but that is an extremely expensive venture. So we will try to be phasing those in where necessary. If there's some that are no longer necessary, or let's say there was a secretary eliminated and we need to hire a public works street worker or water worker, then there may be a reallocation of that. But there's not an effort to totally restore that. Same thing with the baseline cuts, which is the department's general budget. As they were cut, that we knew when we did it, and we knew today that we can't just totally restore that. Our revenue is getting back up to about where it was, but costs have gone up. The cost of it. You saw those price tags on those projects. The purpose of that was just to simply tell you that things are expensive these days, and as our economy gets better, and you see more cranes and construction companies out working, building houses or buildings throughout the Metroplex, that means the price of concrete's going up, the price of labor is going up, steel, all of that's going up. So it's a slow clawback to where we were if we ever even need to get to where we were. In some cases, we may not need that. Did that answer your question?
Jerry, may I make a comment?
Please.
One thing that the city council has been insistent upon to the staff is that the service level to citizens in our community not be reduced. And through the downturn, when these staff positions were eliminated or reduced, I'm confident that the service level to our citizens has maintained a level that far surpasses other communities. And if anyone has any contradiction to that, we need to hear it. Thank you.
Yeah.
I have one more question about, just to clarify on an earlier statement about the notice that you published about the tax increase. That's driven by an increase in property values, not by any action that the city council has taken.
Well, yes and no. I mean, there's no simple answers, and it's a rather complicated answer. When the economy went down and our property values went down, some cities chose to raise their tax rate to a level that they collected the same amount of dollars, but it was at a higher tax rate. You got a very conservative city council here. We kept our tax rate the same so that we were collecting less dollars. And there's a little funny thing in state law that as the economy recovers, in effect, we get punished for that because our neighbors that raise their tax rate, they don't have to publish that their taxes are going up because we reduced our revenues as our revenues increase, not to increase taxes, but to increase values, then we've had to publish each year since 2010 or 11 or whenever it was that we are raising taxes when in fact we took the most conservative, and I say we, it's these guys up here that you elect, took the most conservative approach and reduced our revenue.
Well, I just wanted to clarify that it's mostly due to the property valuation changes. Just wanted to clarify that, in case it was used in future political hearings.
I can't get involved in that, but from the finances, it is, we took a very conservative approach, and it's the little nuance in state law that's required us to, you would think that we're the more liberal of the cities, when in fact we've got the lowest tax rate, and the only one of the few that maintained it through that time. So, any other questions?
Terry, I want to piggyback on something that you said earlier. During the downturn, what a lot of people didn't complain about, I heard a few complaints that, if all this is happening, why are you building the senior center and renovating the rec center and the aquatic center, et cetera, et cetera. So this was all done cash flow with money we had set aside, and it was done modularly as we had the money. And I'm ballparking the numbers here, but by doing it during the downturn, when companies were actually doing business at cost just to keep their employees employed, we saved millions of dollars compared to the original cost of those projects. If we were doing those projects today, with the way the economy is booming from a construction standpoint right now, just our concrete costs alone would have gone through the roof. So for those that had questions about why we built that during the downturn, because we we knew that it was gonna come back, we already had the cash to do it, and we saved significant monies with no debt.
Any other budget questions? Nobody wants their street overlaid or their park redone. It's your opportunity. Yes, ma'am.
Well, I didn't know when you were asking for budget questions specifically or just projects, but my name is Vicki Dobbs and I live at 801 Boxwood Court in Euless.
You live with Stan?
Yes.
That's great.
I've asked several council members over time, every time elections come up, about this specific issue, and I know that there's a problem with finding out the owner or getting owner's permission, but we desperately need a sidewalk between Timber Ridge and 157 on the east side where QT is, because kids, adults are walking on that street and there's a sidewalk and then it stops. And they end up having to walk in the street. It's extremely dangerous. And they're going to QT and they end up in the street. I'm really concerned about it because of the children that I see, and people do not give them the drivers just drive me nuts. They're cutting it really close. There's no sidewalk. Now, I've heard that you guys can't find the owners to get the permission to build the sidewalk or whatever, but I think there's got to be enough lawyers in this city that we can find out who owns it so that we can get permission to put a sidewalk there, because it is, to me, extremely dangerous.
We don't need any more lawyers.
I don't know, whatever it takes. Surely there's got to be a way that.
We know the owners, and we have probably been a little tardy on that. Our normal process is, as property develops, the owner is required to put in the sidewalk. There's a small gap that Vicki's talking about that is undeveloped property, and it is complicated by the fact that it's not just a sidewalk. It requires a retaining wall, and then when you develop it, you're going to be tearing out that retaining wall and put it in. But you have brought that up. There's several people who brought it up, and we are going to be. It's not much. We know it's. I don't know. It's not a matter of not knowing who the property owner is. We know who the property owner is. I mean, we know that very well. We will get a solution, and we probably should have already gotten a solution. And it's a typical thing that where our methodology is wise, because we should not do something that is the property owner's responsibility. But
Right, but it's been undeveloped for a
Yeah.
while.
since the beginning of time,
Yeah.
actually, that is problem.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Mr. Craner, you got that down?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well. Mr. Easton, I think, had his hand up first.
I just want to second that. 4 years ago, I asked for that and got the one on the south side of Harwood, but we still need the one on the north side. So that's been a 4-year request on my part alone. So, thank you.
Yes, sir. I couldn't have told it was 4 years, I know.
Well, 3, maybe 3.
Miss Peggy.
The sidewalk that crosses Airport Freeway by Starbucks, at each end of it, there is roughly 10 feet that's not paved. And we do have some citizens who go around in little golf cart things, and it's very scary to watch them try to get across the street with no sidewalks.
Yes, ma'am.
You and I have mentioned that before, but
Have we mentioned that before?
Yes, I'll
Have we
bring it
really?
up again.
I forgot about it. No, of course you have. That is a TxDOT facility, and we have no authority to work on it. TxDOT refuses to work on it. The reality, and I told Vicki I'd try to work on her problem, or her concern. I'm not gonna make that promise to you, because if the project that you saw that slide on a while ago, TxDOT, the Airport Freeway, that will go under construction either late this year or early next year. The contract's been conditionally awarded, and that bridge is going to be tore out. And any hope that we may have had that TxDOT would fix it is there is no hope now. They will not do anything until they tear that bridge out. So, I mean, that's just the truth, Maggie. I know it's, and honestly, this is not a good solution, but they did repair the east side. And then the people in whatever mobility, wheelchairs or scooters or whatever, they can cross on a protected lot and go up the east side. Now, it's inconvenient, but they can do that. But I can't offer you any hope, because it is purely TxDOT's responsibility. I was joking with you, you brought that up for 20 years, I think. But we have reported that to TxDOT repeatedly. We'll report it again, but I'd be lying to you if I told you that I thought they'd run out there. And it's probably not a half yard of concrete required on each end, but they won't. They're not gonna do it.
Okay, well, at least you listen.
I remember that, but I could tell you, Peggy, they'll probably fix it, but I'd be telling you stories.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
We had a traffic fatality at the entrance to Monastery Station.
We don't have another mic, do we?
We had a traffic fatality at the entrance to Monastery Station. My opinion is the warning that light needs to be pushed back and maybe the speed limit reduced in that area.
He's saying well, on June the 1st, there was a accident at the intersection of Driftwood and Pipeline. Driftwood is the entrance into Morrisdale, and unfortunately, the man passed away yesterday. Was it yesterday? And he's saying that he believes there should be the warning signs pushed back, I think you said, and speed limit reduced. We're looking at that now looking at the overall conditions. There's some things we're going to be doing. One is there'll be some markers put on the roadway in the area of those warning signs, something like 200 or 300 feet either side of that intersection. If you're not familiar with it, the intersection's down in a hole. But there are warning signs, flashing lights on signs that say signal ahead, or the international symbol for signal, whatever it is. And so we'll put some stripes there that will jiggle your tires a little bit and try to get your attention. That's the first I've heard about the possibility of pulling those back, and we will look at that. We'll just have to look at, I don't know if there's a standard for that, but we will be glad to look at that. That was a tragic accident. And we're also looking at the signal configuration, the timing. I think we got some property owners around there that we're going to be asking to trim some trees. But if anyone else has any ideas, we're absolutely more than willing to listen. But I think what you have there is a truly, absolutely tragic accident. But we're willing to listen to anyone. It was the gentleman that lost his life was I think was an original homeowner in Morrisdale from the early 1960s or 1960s. So it was a tragedy. Yes, sir.
Contacted me earlier this week, and he called me this morning with some of the recommendations they're going to put forth to correct some of the deficiencies at that intersection. And I haven't had a chance to get the word out what these are, but I want to give the cities a chance to implement and see what it's going to be. But we are very much aware that you are concerned about that intersection. Oh,
we're very concerned. I talked last night with Lou Baum, and we discussed some things, and we will look at anything. I think they can address it themselves, but I'm not sure that anything that we've talked about would have changed the outcome. But absolutely, if we can do something to save the next one, we want to do it. So there's no cards off the table on that. Anything else on a budget-related question? All's fair. Nope. Okay, then let me tell you about a development. And this is something that probably, if you've been to these meetings, you're probably getting tired of hearing about, because we're saying it's coming. Well, You see dirt flying out there right now. This is at the intersection, or south of the intersection of Glade Road and 121. There's a Target. If you go out there, there's a super Target that's been there for a number of years. But Chris, you want to do some pointing for me? Let's go down there to the bottom right to start with. The Raising Cane's is already there. Just to the south of Raising Cane, there is a building that is currently under construction, and I'll show you a slide in just a minute of what that actually will be. Rosa's Cafe is a little further to the south. That is existing and stays very busy. And if you go down to the yellow, Loretta told you a while ago, that is Rio Grande Boulevard. That will be a very nice 4-lane divided street from Glade Road all the way through to Cheeks Barger, and as she said, it will tie in with the Walmart entrance on the south side. There is the Brazos Boulevard will go under construction, as she's told you very quickly. Dave & Buster's, we're really, really excited about Dave & Buster's. That is right there where Chris is pointing. And that's a 40-some-odd thousand square foot building that is permitted, and they should be open by Christmas of this year. So we're not, this stuff I'm telling you about now is not pie in the sky, but it is approved and it will be there. Maybe for that sidewalk, and then let's see, if you just go to the west, and this thing is oriented wrong. North is to your right and west is up. But K-Hop is building 127 homes. There, the subsurface utilities are in. I think their concrete batch plant is in, so they'll be pouring streets. And those are 127 homes, and they start about $375. So that's going in. The movie theater is, that will be about a 12-screen movie theater that will be the luxury reclining seats, very nice theater. And what's the opening on that roughly? Is that early 2016? And then the part that says site plan under review, which is right there, that is, it's actually just the northern part of that is under there now. Got a little carried away with your fancy drawing there. That is about 175,000 square feet of retail space that will go under construction in the very near future. And I think they're looking for a spring. Is that spring opening yet? No. Yeah. So go to the next slide. Get that red stuff off there. All right, the building that's under construction, and it is going up. In fact, they've started vertical construction. There's an AT&T store, Supercuts, Monarch Dental, and a Potbelly big restaurant. Oh, is it just Potbelly? Potbelly Pig. Okay, a Potbelly restaurant. And I know some of those don't really get you excited. If I could show you the lineup that is coming next, it would get you very excited. And will it be a South Lake Town Center? No, it will not. But you're going to be shocked, I believe, at the lineup that should be coming in the very near future, because it's going to be something that we're going to be very, very proud of. And it's smaller than South Lake Town Center, but it will be just right at that quality of development out there. And there's a couple of anchors that we're working on that we believe we may be getting close to, that if we can get those anchors, then it will actually raise the quality, and we'll go from, I better be careful about using examples. We'll go from a mid-level quality of clothing to not Neiman Marcus, but something kind of upper mid, probably good. And at that point, we'll be able to afford some sidewalks. So. Maybe I'm just.
Don't get into the squirrels.
I'm not going to talk about squirrel prevention. So, what do we have next there, Chris? Out at the Riverwalk area is what this is called, and This is at the corner of Midway and Bear Creek Parkway. The Dominion is going in, and that is a very large development. And they are already applying for additional permits, for additional phases. This is done by Lennar, and those homes will start about $275. Up? No, $275 up, $300, something like that. So if you go out there, that is really dressed up nicely, and you see a number of sold signs, and this is just adjacent to our reclaimed water, and all of the common area, the landscaping that you see, is something we're really proud of. It will be watered with reclaimed water, and there are very few cities around here that is currently doing that. And we heard a presentation the other day of what it costs to build a new reservoir, what it costs to build a pipeline. Our water currently comes primarily from Cedar Creek Lake and Richland Chambers, and they're currently building a pipeline, and it's a huge pipeline. But it is in the hundreds of millions of dollars, and this is not cheap, but it's a much lower cost. But most importantly, this is not potable water. This is water that's currently being sent down the Trinity River that we're redirecting and utilizing for landscaping out there. And then it will be extended into the apartment complexes that go all the way to the north to Grapevine, or just south of Grapevine. So we're really excited about that, and excited for the opportunity to do that. Excited about the opportunity to continue to serve y'all at the best service levels available at the lowest price. So with that, I would ask you, what questions do you have on a totally different topic? Yes, ma'am.
I have a question about the, as the housing development is done, what are the plans for schools that are going to support the community, the residents that are
A plan for what?
plan for schools?
School? That's a good question. Today at our Chamber of Commerce meeting, we heard a State of the School District presentation from Steve Chapman, the superintendent of HEB ISD. The Lennar development that I talked about in Riverwalk, that's in HEB ISD. The K. Hovnanian development up by Glade Park, or in Glade Park, that is in Grapevine College. I do not know of any plans of Grapevine Colleyville to add schools. That is not all that many homes to add to their inventory. HEB ISD is building Viridian School. It's a Viridian development that most people don't even realize is in HEB ISD, and that is off 157 south on the east side of the road. That is a beautiful school that will open in August of this year. And there will be some reshuffling of the district lines, and also it will be open enrollment. So the first plan is to shift kids from South Euless and Oakwood Terrace to realign those to allow them to go to Viridian. It's in the city of Arlington, but it's in HEB ISD. And then the school district also owns the property at Midway and International. And this is not an announcement because I don't know anything about announcements for them, but they own that, and there is a future plan for an elementary school. And Mr. Chapman said today that he would probably be back in the next couple of years to talk about an expansion. Because does anybody remember the number of kids that, I think he said they had an 8% increase, 8%, but they're over 20,000 kiddos now. So the elementary schools in particular are busting at the seams. And then on South Main, we have several additional developments that are going in, and that will add house tops down there. And South Euless is already very full. So they will be shuffling some of those district lines and picking up capacity at Viridian, and then ultimately probably they're at International and Midway, which is, if you're not familiar with that, that's about a mile east of Main Street. That answers your question?
The K. Hovnanian development that is in Grapevine Colleyville, those students are expected to attend O.C. Taylor.
Okay. What other questions might y'all have? Yes, ma'am.
I've got a little, sorry I missed it. The movie theater that they're going to make over there, is it going to be AMC, Cinemark, or
Don't know right now. It's gonna be one of two, and, I think they're really close on one, but as sure as I told you the name of it, it would be the other one. But it is a major name, major chain movie theater. And, it'll be one, as soon as you hear it, you'll know exactly what it is. So right out in front of it will be what we call the lifestyle center, that will be retail and restaurant. And so the effort is to create a walking area around there. It's very similar, but on a much smaller scale than South Lake Town Center. Or if you're familiar with Arlington Highlands, there's some similarities to Arlington Highlands up there. We're evaluating that. Don't know if that's going to be necessary.
What was the question?
Any plans for a police storefront? We're evaluating that. We're often asked about the fire station up there. We're really fortunate on the fire side that there is a Grapevine fire station and a Bedford fire station very nearby. And on the fire side, you already see this some. You'll probably see more of it, where there will be, the boundaries will basically be dropped, and the computer system will be such that they will dispatch the closest ambulance or the closest fire truck, regardless of what city they're assigned to the homes. Already, Marsdale may get some Bedford response. Up in North Euless, you may get some Grapevine response. It's a much more efficient use of tax dollars and resources to do that. Yes, ma'am.
I know that we have some nice programs going on at the Bear Creek Amphitheater area, mostly movies and stuff. Has there been any thought about doing concerts like they do at the Levitt Pavilion in Arlington? Getting music, during the summer, and, how would you go about doing that?
Let's get Ray to step down here. Ray McDonald is our park director. While he's coming down, I will tell you, we've had some really good concerts out there this spring. The Kildares was, I think it was like 300 people out there. And then the local trash. So tell them about your other plans.
We do have a couple other events. One is a movie, and we do have a couple other concerts planned for this summer. They're going to be at the Texas Star Golf Course. But we absolutely plan to keep programming, whether it's concerts or musicals or movies or whatever it might be at the amphitheater. We've actually partnered this year with our library, with Sherry at the library, and we've done a few of their Masterworks programs out of the library, or at the amphitheater. So absolutely, we'll continue to program that.
I know that we've been going to Levitt Pavilion quite a bit. I know every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday they have wonderful bands. There's kids and families and bring your own stuff and everything. And that little amphitheater we have is so perfect for it. It's so beautiful. I'd love to see us use it a lot more.
And there's the next concert.
Pardon?
There's the next concert coming up.
Acoustic shade, okay. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I guess I'm gonna show my stupidity. Where's the Levitt Theater?
Oh, it's down,
Never heard of it.
built specifically for concerts down in Arlington, right in the old downtown Arlington area. And if you have not been there, you need to go check it out, because I think we can compete with it. It's beautiful, and it was built specifically for that, and they have concerts, I think during the summer, it's every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night.
Are they free?
They're free.
And then they ask for donations.
Yeah, they ask for donations, they send people around and put donations in.
Sounds like we have a challenge, right?
Yeah, one is the fundraiser.
I think that is a challenge. I think we can do that.
It is.
I think we
It's
can
a
do
good
it. I think we
challenge.
have the group of people here who would be more than willing to volunteer, so that we can make sure that we're able to staff 4 nights in a row. So we're
I'm glad you brought that up, because that's a really good example of the input that we're seeking, because that is a direct cost, and our effort has been to make it free, so it is a direct cost. But if if we know that our residents want that and that they find value in it, then it's something for our elected officials and for us as staff to consider. But we need to hear that,
Yeah.
that it's important.
Well, I really recommend that you all go to the 11th Pavilion one evening and experience it. We can do the same.
Better.
All right, Gary, I'll get my guitar out. It's been a while. Play another one of my favorite chords.
No, no.
And I prompted you now. That's a good example of what we need to hear. Yes, ma'am.
I'm just going to tack on to that. They also do it in the fall as well.
Yeah.
And they actually have a pretty big stage area. It's not quite a amphitheater. I don't think our amphitheater really has wires for speakers and things like that. But I'm having another question about the movie theater. Is it going to be covered parking or is it surface lot?
It is all surface parking. The original plan out there was for structured, covered, some of it was covered structured parking, and that went away several years ago. There is no structured parking anymore. It's all surface.
When you're talking about like parking garages?
I'm talking about parking garage.
Parking garages are prohibitively expensive. Back when Northeast Mall built theirs, at those prices, it was $8,000 a parking space. And concrete prices have gone through the roof since then, so I wouldn't even venture a guess on how expensive it is now to do. And that's where you end up having a lot of issues. Of course, Mike can tell more than I can, but it seems like that's where you have a lot of your crime issues in parking garages that you can't see.
And just to give up the surface area to the government.
Yeah.
For 12 movie theater.
Any other questions? Y'all are so easy. Yes, let's go down here and Mr. Porterfield, you got any comments?
He's a senior council member, you should
He
go
is the
first.
senior council member.
Yeah, I'm a senior in a lot of things. No, I just want to tell you how important you as citizens are to the elected officials and the staff of this city. We are here to serve you. I know that many of you call us occasionally asking questions and seeking help, and we're always anxious to do that. Our staff has provided some of the best tools that you can imagine to get things done within the city. One of the greatest of those is Access Euless. If you're not familiar with Access Euless, you need to know about it because it's the way to get things done, whether it's patching a pothole, repairing a sidewalk, or if your garbage hadn't been picked up, whatever it is, if you'll utilize Access Euless, you will get results and you will be informed of what has been done. I want to tell you how proud I am to have served this city as a city councilman for 15 years. We do have a marvelous city. It's a city that each of you can take great pride in. And I certainly do. Thank you for letting me serve.
Thank y'all for coming out. And what I just heard about the pavilion in Arlington, I have a charge right there. I'm a big believer in that. I've lived here all my life. Beautiful lady here on the second row here that she keeps me going, and out there stuff like that needs to keep me going as a volunteer too, because that's what we are, we're volunteers. So we need that kind of input. I'm not saying we can always provide, but if we don't hear that, we can't challenge staff, because y'all have, in case you don't know, you have an amazing staff in this city. And I think back to that question that Mr. Corporal made a comment about Access Euless, and then I got to thinking about a water main break that occurred, and how elaborate on that if you'd like later on, but we had a major water main break in the northern part of our city, right off Main Street, and it impacted a large part of our city, the major water line. And Hal made comment about how the citizens of our city, how great they are. The people who were the most impacted, ones right across the street, they were bringing food, desserts, stuff to drink, and just that's just an example of the citizens that we have in the city. That's what we are. So we need that input. Let us know, guide it to. We have our new mayor. I'm really happy to have her on board. We have just a new period in our city's life. So Mayor, I think this is your first town hall meeting as mayor. So congratulations.
Thank you.
I support you 110%.
Thank you.
I want to thank all of you for being here and for feeling that you can share your input and speak to us. We are all very, very approachable. All of our contact information is on the website, so if you ever have any questions. In my profession, I do a great deal of traveling to other cities, and I have interactions with other city staffs and things, and we are truly blessed to live in this community. When you go to the amphitheater, our Leon Hogg Amphitheater, you can just see there are families that are bringing food and sharing, and kids playing. You go to our parks, and our dog park is one of the most heavily utilized in our community, and it's just wonderful that we do have many amenities for our citizens. But please always feel free to contact any one of us, because we are here to serve you. We are grateful to serve you, and we look forward to continuing to serve you. Thank you.
You can tell how cheap we are because we only have one microphone.
The junior statesman will go last.
You might not get it back.
Well, that's true. Grab it if it gets bad.
Yeah. Again, I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. And I'm very proud to have been working with our staff for the 7 years I've been on council, and very proud of everything that our council has done. We've had to make a lot of really tough decisions during the downturn as we came back out of it for a direction for the city. We've always worked really well together. But what I'm more proud of is all of you and all of our great citizens and our volunteers. Sarah, I think it was about 3 years ago, my brother and his wife just happened to be driving through. They're from New Jersey, and they were coming through from California and driving across country, and they happened to stop over here the night we were having a town hall meeting. And they sat through it, and he was telling me afterwards, he said he could not believe, first I think Bob Freeman was running it, and he thought the humor that was going on and the fact that everybody actually seemed to like everybody. And he said town hall meetings up in New Jersey usually end in fistfight. And
We're not done.
well, we're sure we're not done yet. I haven't finished yet. So, but that's what I'm most proud of. All the volunteer hours. Anytime someone in this city needs help, there's somebody out there with a helping hand, and that just doesn't happen in other places. You know, there are limited areas might have some of what we have, but there's not another city that has what we have. And I'll finish by saying what I always say: we're living in the best city, in the best state, in the best country this world has ever seen.
Thank you, Preacher Stenford. I'm the rookie of the group, so I'm very green and I'm learning as I go, taking all my notes. But I appreciate your time. I was in those seats looking this way just 3 or 4 months ago in January when we did this. So I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to serve you, to serve our employees, to serve our city staff. I'm overwhelmed, but I'm enjoying it, and I'm really learning a lot and looking forward to what Euless has in store for all of us. We're going to do this, but I appreciate you guys. Totally reach out to us on place 2 at Euless, Texas, or eulesstx.gov. So, thank you.
Before we turn it over to the mayor to close us out, I want to offer one more time. Any questions? There you go. We finally got one. Loretta.
I have 2, if that's okay.
No, it's just one.
I was wondering about the frequency of watering. Is there any plans maybe to cut us down to once a week? And the second question is regarding doing mosquito spray.
Oh, they're two really good questions. We're not going to answer them, but they're two good questions. We're at twice a week watering, and of course you know that the permanent restriction is the 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Is that or how that? Yes. You can never water then, but we're twice a week. I mean, obviously we can't predict the future, but we've been blessed with some pretty decent rains. Our lake levels are not, they're not increasing dramatically, but they have increased just a little bit, but most importantly, they hadn't decreased. So the last we heard is we think we may make the summer without restricting it further. Every gallon of water we put out of that reclaimed water is a gallon that we don't have to buy from the Trinity River Authority or pump it up here from East Texas. So we're encouraged. So we hope not. We hope not. But I would encourage you to look on, Betsy, do we have a link on our website to the watering deal about, we saw a presentation on this yesterday morning, or Tuesday morning. There's only a few weeks of the year, and it's like 6 weeks of the year that you really need to water twice a week. For most of the year in Texas, you can water once a week and be fine, and then for a great deal of the year, you don't have to water at all. Is that? Yeah, we have this on our website. Some of these other links here, you can get to. They're working towards we've got weather bug station at the police station, but they're working towards this deal that will keep track of the rain and the humidity and the wind in various locations throughout the Metroplex, so that you can go to the website, ultimately, it's not there now, and it will tell you how often you need to water based on your own individual area. Because obviously, our rainfall for the Metroplex is measured at DFW Airport. Sometimes Benbrook can get a frog strangler, and we don't get a drop out here. So it's, anyway, that's they're working on that. Then the mosquitoes. We monitor the mosquitoes carefully. We have several trapping stations in Euless, and we participate with Tarrant County mosquito or health department, and they take the mosquitoes that are trapped and they check the little boogers out to see if they have any kind of bad diseases. And so far, to this year, there has not been a single mosquito throughout Tarrant County that has tested positive for West Nile virus or that other thing. I can't remember the name of it now. There's another one that they check them for, but we've had none. We will not wait until we get a positive here. We monitor carefully the mosquito population, and particularly with the rains we've been having lately. When it stops raining and the temperature goes up, the mosquito population will go up, and we will begin to spray. And we've not sprayed yet, but we will begin as soon as we determine that it's necessary. Absolutely, if we had a positive mosquito test, we would. And the way there's been a change in the last year of the way we do that. We now have the capability of spraying the entire city in one night, but the recommendation is to spray 3 nights in a row. And because of the larvae stage of the mosquitoes, you spray one time, you kill the live ones, the next night some of them hatch. And so it's 3 nights in a row, but we spray the entirety of the city. And several other people said, Access Euless is available to you, and it doesn't have to be, it can be that mosquitoes are carrying me away on flea bite, and we'll respond to that. The other thing besides Access Euless, which is really easy, but we practice a rather bizarre practice here in Euless, and we answer our telephones. It's, I won't name the retailer, but I called a retailer today because I had a problem, and by the time it was done, I finally went at lunch and went and visited them in person, because it was like talking to this microphone stand here to try to talk to somebody. We answer our phones, and we will call you back. So you call us anytime, really day or night, and we'll respond to you. Any other questions?
Gary, I want to piggyback.
Oh, good.
What you said.
Oh, please.
So many people don't understand on watering. Bermuda grass, and I could be a little bit off of the number here, you can look it up, really only needs a 1/4 inch of watering a week. Now, St. Augustine's going to need a little more than that. If you've got a sprinkler system with the spray sprinklers, you should never run those more than 15 minutes because your ground can't hold it and you're just running it off. So soaking it really doesn't do your grass any good. It'll eventually, if you keep doing it, you'll rot the roots. So that's just my horticultural thing.
Sorry, we don't have any time for any more questions. This is an example of going too long, Peggy. Yes, ma'am. Peggy.
Don't forget about our Heritage Park. I am so proud of that park. If you have not been out to see what's going on out there, you are really missing an exciting time. And we'll be open this coming Saturday from 1 to 5. It's free. There's just a wealth of material out there that makes you proud to be from Euless, because everything out there has come down through a family in Euless that's been here a long time. And I am so proud of it, and I can't tell you enough good things about it.
That museum, and that's all we open this Saturday.
Pardon?
It's open this Saturday.
This Saturday, the second Saturday of the month, from 1 to 5.
Very good. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Linda Grove, 406 South Main Street. Just a quick question. I go to the Irving Heritage Pool because seniors 50 years of age and older get to swim free. Is Euless going to have that for our senior citizens where we can swim for free?
Before you answer that question, do we get to be seniors? I don't get to go to our senior centers. I'm too young.
Ray, you want to address that? It's pretty near free, right? Are you talking about the indoor or the outdoor?
It's an indoor pool in Irving.
We have an indoor.
Yes, it's absolutely free.
50 years and over free, yes.
50 and over?
Yes.
What? Ours requires a senior membership, and how much is that?
60 years, you have to be 60 years old for our senior center in Euless. If you're a resident, you can have a basic membership, it's $5 a year, and that gets you full use of the senior center. You can go to the fitness center, you can use the track, the rec center. It gets you use of the entire building. And then we have for $75, you can have use of the pool.
But the seniors are $5 a year, that's hard to pay, but let us explore that, because I really thought we were about the cheapest around. I don't guess I realized Irving was absolutely free.
Is that something new? Because we toured that before we built this, and it wasn't free at the time we toured it. That was like 4 or 5 years ago. John? Really?
I'm paying $30 a month for the use of the indoor pool as a senior.
$30 a month?
Yes,
That's $25 a year for a resident.
Yeah, I just signed up yesterday. It's $25 with one pool.
That's what I'm charged.
A month?
No, $25 a year.
It wouldn't be a month. We don't have a monthly membership.
But you need to get with Ray
Yeah, that's for the
immediately
classes.
thereafter, because I know there's a different rate for Aggies. That's a little steep.
I think you're taking
That's for
classes.
the classes.
I think you're talking about classes.
Yes. So we do have a $30 unlimited classes.
Okay, yeah, if you're taking class, but get with Ray, John, because yeah, 'cause I think you just joined, or it's $25.
$25 a year. I mean, I just paid the first time.
Yeah.
$25 a year. That includes the pool privilege. Otherwise,
Okay.
it's a $5.
All right. Anise?
I have some questions about, because of all the construction on 183, it's really affected the restaurants that are on 183. And I noticed the other day that Ponchos is painting. So I don't know if that means that they're going to revitalize that area or what. And I don't know what's going to happen there where the Whataburger used to be at West Park and right there by the IHOP. It's just an empty parking lot. They've leveled it. Any idea what's going on there?
At the Ponchos, that will reopen soon as a Skechers shoe store. You will not be able to raise the flag. The Whataburger, the old Whataburger has been torn down. Hopefully you'll see something there as the freeway wraps up. The Dixie House closed. Actually, Mike talked to them the other day. They said that was one of their higher producing, I guess the highest producing Dixie House. They will reopen, but they're not going to make an effort until the freeway wraps up. And the freeway will wrap up, that portion of the freeway will wrap up this fall. So, and I think as that does, you will see a considerable amount of flurry of activity. There's a number of vacant tracks there. But Skechers we're encouraged by that because of what that can mean to the rest of that shopping center. And then we're working on that entire area to try to bring some redevelopment to that area. So,
Mr. McCabe, you mentioned the Chamber lunch mob to support the restaurants up and down the corridor.
you did. You go ahead. You tell them where it is.
If you'll check out on the HEB Chamber of Commerce website, in support of the restaurants up and down the corridor that have been affected by the construction and will be affected by the construction in the future, it's an effort to organize on, I believe it is next Tuesday would be the third Tuesday?
June 17th.
Right, so that would be the third Tuesday of the month, right? So the third Tuesday of each month, there's what's called a lunch mob group, and they try to organize as many folks to go to that restaurant in support of them, and the restaurants are getting more involved and maybe even offering up some discounts. But if y'all will check that out, that would be very supportive of the local restaurants.
And the June 17th lunch mob will be at the Schlotzsky's in Euless.
Thank you.
And there's also something called the Chamber Construction Card, and that card offers discounts to restaurants up and down that corridor. You have to go to the website, and it'll tell you it might be a free appetizer at this place, or it might be 10% off. We'll get some of those cards and have them available at City Hall.
We have.
We do.
We have those.
And the Schlotzsky you were talking about was not the one over, it was one on 183.
Hence the freeway.
Is there any way they can move the barriers on the service road to widen the street just a little bit so that you don't have to bottom out on the manhole covers? There's 24 manhole covers. Coming east or west, there's 24 manhole covers, and they will jar your eyes out.
Okay, she's asking about the removal of the barricade. The barricades will come down. They will not come down in the next couple of months. The manhole covers are high because the final grade is not, there's another course of asphalt. But if you drive that much, you know that there are drastic improvements that are out there now. And I mean, I'm looking over here, John Sleeter's shaking his head. His neighborhood was one of the most drastically impacted. And I went down there one day last week, and I mean, it is a drastic improvement. Is it fixed? Not yet, but there's a drastic improvement. It is coming. Honestly, Peggy, we're not going to ask them to move those barricades because they need the area to work. And the more that we ask them to shift around and accommodate, the slower. I know, but if you've seen them put those out, that's a major operation that totally blocks the service road. And that we need them out of there is the bottom line. The quicker the better. And that's, again, it seems like everything, I'm just being honest with you. We want them to finish.
Absolutely.
We want them to finish, just in time to tear up the other end. Yes, you had a question right back here.
Well, I really didn't have a question. I had a thank you. I had occasion to have sewer line problems and backups in which my first connection with the city, I wasn't satisfied with the response. I shot an email to Mr. Ivanvet, and the next day or so, I got a call from the Assistant Director of Public Works. The next morning, he came to my house. He had guys with trucks, and they really did everything they could to resolve my issue, which we did resolve it. And I'd just like to say that, again, I'm a testament to the fact that if you email, you will get a response, and quickly. And I'd just like to say thank you for that.
You must be one of my neighbors.
Yeah.
Is that?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, you're one of my neighbors.
I'm on Big Tree.
Yeah. Good, I'm glad we took care of you. In fact, I'll take care of
And
everybody.
that's
but
another point for Access Euless, though. Access Euless.
Or access Linda.
Yeah. This is Miss Amber and Bunny right here.
But that, I mean, what he's talking about is the sewer issue. We actually have cameras that will go down into the sewers, and we don't have to wonder if there's a problem. It will show you on television. It may gross you out, but we will show you on television that there is a problem or there's not a problem. Anybody else? If not, I want to thank y'all for being here and point out that the police chief's here, the planning director's here, the public works director's here, the administrative service director's here, the fire chief and fire marshal and parks director, assistant city managers, other assistant police chief, the city secretary, the library, Sherry, city secretary is way back there in the back. Sherry Knight's here, and just because we wind this up does not mean that we go home. So we're here to answer any questions that you got or point out something that you need to work on. But our goal is to make y'all happy. Make it.
And you know, Mr. Craner has those sewer cameras now, but with any luck in the new budget year, he will have high-def sewer cameras. So let him know if you really want to see the bright picture.
Bring your own popcorn.
Yeah, your own popcorn. I want to thank everyone for coming tonight. We appreciate you taking your time to come and tell us what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong. I've had the privilege of serving you for 10 years, and I'm so proud that you chose to have me serve you for another 3 years. And I hope after tonight's meeting, you'll go home with a little smile on your face and say, I am really proud to live in Fabulous. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Oh, there she is.